I think understanding desires of a character is really important. So if you understand the desire of a character, you then have motivation. You have a reason for the people to care about your character. And then if you have another character and that desire has a little bit of conflict with the other character, if they conflict, then suddenly you have tension, you have drama, and that's when your story actually begins, is when you have two characters with two different desires that have conflict. It goes beyond the main character's wants. If you understand what all the side characters want, then you can have really well fleshed out characters just from their desires.
This is the Crit RPG Podcast, your one-stop shop for everything Lit RPG, progression fantasy, and Royal Road. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Crit RPG Podcast, the only podcast that takes in disheveled vagabonds. With me today is the disheveled vagabond. It's Spencer. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Not too bad. Had a wonderful talk with a really cool author for the last 41 minutes. So,
Oh yeah, who was that?
Nice. Yeah, I don't know. Showed up because they saved me because I got stood up on my podcast recording. Because without this guy here, whichever side,
yeah, one of the sides,
there wouldn't be a podcast this week. So thank you very much for jumping in.
Oh, it's no problem at all. I was around. I was available.
Yeah. Tell me on your book.
So I write Blood Curse Academia. It's Academy Fantasy. If you like Academy Fantasy, you might enjoy it. So I initially wrote it because I just wanted to have fun. Like my whole intention with this book was to just have a lot of fun. So there's a lot of my favorite Academy tropes. There's a lot of school, a lot of classes. Another thing is a lot of Academy books, they take a while to get to the Academy. I don't know if you've noticed this about Academy books, but usually the first book, it's like half the book until they get to the Academy. And I was like, I want to get to the Academy immediately. I'm going to get over there like fast. And so I got like chapter 3 on like in the Academy.
So, shout out to Andrew Rowe, who was just on the podcast. Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's almost every Academy book. If you look, even if you go as far back as Harry Potter, the first Harry Potter book, it takes a third of the book before they make it to the school. Yeah, it's a common trope, and I understand why. In a lot of ways, it's setting up the world. It's setting up the introduction of the book, but book series. It's because these Academy books are never just one book. They're always a series. But I just wanted to get to the Academy. I wanted to have fun. I wanted to, just have a good time. Have, school parties. Have classes that are wacky and weird, and have funny professors and weird students, and have a good time.
I'm very sorry for saying this, but nothing says fun party like calling your book Blood Curse Academia.
Yeah. Yes, a lot of people think that I'm like dark academia. I would not classify my book as dark academia. It's pretty light. There's some dark parts. There's some I'd say there are some like disturbing parts, but for the most part it's pretty, family friendly. I just chose the name. It's a relevant name, like to the book. There's blood. So all of the magic in this world is there's no, like a lot of books use mana. I wanted to use blood. So every time you cast a spell, it uses some of your blood from your body, and so you have to be careful. There's physical consequences if you use too much magic all at once before your marrow can create new blood. But there are some ways to like speed up the process of getting new blood back in your system and everything. And I thought it offered a lot of cool little unique ideas through there. So that's the blood part. And then the main character was raised by a hag. So he was kidnapped when he was 6. And so the first 10 years of his life, he was raised by this hag in the jungle. So I used to live in the jungle in Ecuador. And so I worked at an animal sanctuary in Ecuador for half a year, and so I decided I'll just take that and I'll make him grow up in the jungle. So he has like a pet owl monkey. That was one of the monkeys I helped train and worked a lot with. So that's his familiar, and so he gets to school and he's the best at potions, but he's terrible at everything else. And he has to work his way through the rankings. There's a ranking system, and he's trying to rank up through the system so he can uncover some secrets about his family, about why he was taken as a child,
Mhm.
as
Ooh.
he explores the campus and discovers new secrets and um, all sorts of craziness.
And is the entire series like based? Is it all going to be in academia, or is it going to be like just like example, John Bier's work like strays from that a little bit and like goes out into the other world?
So the first two books. So first book is first quarter. Second book is second quarter.
Mm-hmm.
It's all school classes, lots of professors, lots of students.
Mm-hmm.
And then third book is spring break,
Mm-hmm.
and then fourth and fifth is semester two,
Mm-hmm.
and then sixth book is after semester two.
Okay,
So
cool.
and the classes are broken up. So I was ambitious with my decision. I wanted to use all the magics. I wanted all the magics possible. So there are all sorts of different magics. There's six classes, in the first semester, and six classes in the second semester, and they're different types of magic for each one. So like
Okay.
the
Okay.
so for example, the healing professor is the same as like the enchanting professor. So one
Mm,
semester will be teaching enchanting, one semester healing. One semester the teacher will be teaching like divination. The next semester the teacher will be teaching like astronomy. Like
nice. I don't you hate that those budget cuts in education?
yeah, no, they complain about that actually. That's a complaint. They complain about the academy. Um because these professors, they're specialized in one
Yeah.
specific area, and then
Yeah.
they have to teach two areas. Like
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. They
Yeah.
shouldn't have to do that.
It's bad, but cool. I was about to like to ask you kind of you were talking about like wacky professors, and I know that like I for one have a lot of like fun coming up with wacky professors. What's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
most fun thing for you in academia
I have
levels?
one professor that's a turkey that he got, and it's unexplained so far how he became a turkey.
Oh no!
um
Yes.
it is hypothesized that he was not a turkey at one point, but no, 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 people are being very close-lipped about this
Yeah.
turkey professor that teaches elemental magic and creates explosions and shit. So
I mean, I will not like. I'm debating whether or not like I will stoop to this pun because like like the whole like foul play pun like that
yeah,
it's
no,
right there.
I have that pun. I have that
It,
pun.
it yeah
Yeah, I
it's
have a
right
foul
there.
pun in
Yeah,
there.
yeah. I don't know like I don't want to like I want to like look here and make puns like sort of pheasant.
Yeah, there's some bird puns that he doesn't appreciate very much.
Yeah, yeah. There's like a lot of puns you can make like if you're bilingual in German and
Oh,
English.
Yeah, German puns. Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah,
I've got some German friends.
nice. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's
They
cool.
think they're very funny.
With a lot of reason behind that, obviously.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Germany is a very, very fun population in general. We've done the
Yeah,
tests.
no,
We have
no, yeah.
regulations about
Germans
it.
are hilarious. They're notorious for being hilarious, right?
Yes.
That's their shtick. Is that
Yeah.
they're the funniest nation.
Yeah. It's just that no one else appreciates our humor. It's yeah, it's a thing of perspective.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. What's the best advice you've ever gotten as a writer?
So, let me think. Um, I think understanding desires of a character is really important. So, if you understand the desire of a character, you then have motivation. You have a reason for the people to care about your character. And then
Mhm.
if you have another character and that desire, uh, you know, has a little bit of conflict with the other character, if they conflict, then suddenly you have tension, you have drama, and that's when your story actually begins. Is when you have two characters with two different desires that have conflict. And
Mhm.
understanding exactly what does this character want, it goes beyond the main character's wants. If you
Mhm.
understand what all the side characters want, then you can have really well fleshed out characters just from their desires. Just knowing,
Mhm.
okay, this character wants to get married. Like this character, oh, he just, he wants to just take naps and just hang out. Like he doesn't
Yeah.
like he wants a good time. And if somebody is, interrupting his good time, then there's conflict. If someone's interrupting his nap because he wants to nap all the time, then suddenly there's conflict. Like just understanding every character's desires and to different degrees. Obviously, the main character's desire is the most important, and the main antagonist or antagonists' desires are also very important.
Mhm.
I think that
I
is extremely important. And one of my professors told me that. Josh Allen is his name. Um, he writes children's horror stories.
nice. That sounds good stuff. Like, did you also like talk about like the idea of like want versus need?
Yeah. No,
Mhm.
yeah, it's true. What you want and what you need. Like, I think that is important. Well, but what characters want and what characters need are very different. Um,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
you can accomplish your desire and still feel hollow.
Mhm.
Um, yes. The
That's cool.
yes.
That's
There are a
that's
lot of
something got
great
very deep. Yeah.
yeah, there are a lot of great literary fiction that they accomplish their desires and then they realize, oh, well, this sucks. It's the classic revenge plot too. Almost every revenge story has this cliche of they accomplish their revenge, but do they feel good? No, they feel hollow. Like
Yeah.
I think that's a little bit overdone trope in my opinion, the revenge feeling hollow. But
I
you see it a lot.
I kind of feel that though. Because like in the end that like so anger is almost a secondary emotion because I don't know I don't quite know the like biology behind it, but anger supposedly is formed somewhere except for where all the other emotions are.
Yeah.
Um, and anger is kind of like a negative emotion in the sense of that it protects you from something. So it's supposed to like give you energy to like draw a line or like reinforce your lines or whatever. Um, and yeah, sure, you kill the dude and you get your revenge, and anger is like all consuming. People often say this, right? But then
Yeah.
basically you're building your entire identity around like one pillar. And once you've done that, then what?
No, and I understand that. Like
Mhm. Oh,
I
I
understand
know. It's
exactly what
just
you're saying.
yeah.
I just wish we didn't see it happen all the time. I wish that we got more Count of Monte Cristo, where it's like he accomplishes his vengeance, and then he is, like, fuck yeah, I did it.
Yeah, okay. Okay. But kind of like, okay, so two things. One, if we're reinforcing that belief, society is going to collapse. Second of all, um, does it like, I don't know anyone in real life who's gotten revenge and now is like a happy camper.
Yeah, no, you're totally right, but I think it's
Mm.
cathartic for the reader still.
Oh, totally. So, I mean, there must be ways to get both, right? Like
Yeah,
in the meme, porque de los dos. So I think it's good if you get your revenge to have that feeling of like, yeah, cool, fuck yeah, I did it. And like have that be for a while and then think about like, okay, cool, what now? Right. And do it in a healthy way. You can
yeah,
totally do that.
no,
You can
yeah.
totally do that.
But by that point, the book's over. You
And
cut the
that's
book off before then.
exactly, but like that's the fun part, right? So well, that's where Torchbearer begins.
Oh,
Kind of.
oh, sorry. I didn't mean to. I didn't mean
No,
to.
no, no,
Oh, I
no,
didn't
no,
mean
no,
to
no, no.
bash your
You didn't.
story. Oh
I
God.
was not talking about myself at all, right? Until I was. But the I don't want to talk about it too much, actually. But like the idea of what happens after the happily ever after is very interesting to me. I
Oh,
really like that idea. I really want to write about that.
oh yeah.
And
If that's your story, then yeah, definitely.
exactly right.
I
And
agree with that. Yeah.
if an ending is happy or not, is just a matter of timing, right? Because if you say like, a cool, the princess and the prince got married, and now they're happy forever ever after, and you end the story there, cool. because in your head the story ends there, like it's like the same tone, like it fades off, it's fine. But if you don't say that and you're like, and then they got into a fight a little bit, and then like, he was like, it was like some bit of infidelity going on, but they got back together, and suddenly it's a romance drama. um
Yes.
and then if like, but then the demon lord attacked, like suddenly it's a war thing. Like, lives don't fit into stories.
Yes.
Story, like a lot
Yes.
of stories are in a life. So
No, oftentimes like these sequel stories don't work because it had such a good
mm,
ending, and then you like, especially with
yeah,
romances,
yeah, mm,
disrupting that romance
yeah,
doesn't feel very good. Like if you have a
no,
sequel book, you have to have conflict, and it was a romance. So what do you do? It's like, oh, have you seen The American Office?
yeah, excerpts of it.
The last season, like Pam and Jim, they start fighting, and
mm,
everyone hated it because
yeah,
you had like this nice, their
mm,
relationship was
mm,
together, stable,
mm,
and then you continued it on just a bit too much realism. Like that wasn't the story. If you
mm.
started when that starts, then I think that's a different story. But when you start changing your story around, I think it's the readers
it,
don't like that as much.
you're breaking the promise,
Yeah, yeah.
right? It's like, so I was talking about this exact topic with Chris Mantis the other week.
Oh,
Um, because famously, in book one, Matt and Liz meet, and at some point, spoiler for the next 10 seconds, they get married,
mhm.
right? Cool, awesome. And they never have huge fights. And he's like, that's by design. It's not that book. Like,
Yeah,
and so people are actually like, hey, is this even a romance if there's no fighting? He's like, no, but it's romantic,
yeah.
right? I think that's perfectly fine. Chris is like obviously quite up there. But yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
a classic example of people not being very happy about this is Spider-Man and Mary Jane Watson. The writers were like, "Oh yeah, well they're married and happy. How about we just delete that?" And they just like deleted it from the timeline. And readers
Mm,
were not happy about that because they had the nice cathartic ending. They had like it had
mm,
finished. They'd done it. They'd gotten together. They'd married,
mm.
and they're like, let's delete it. Let's make them all lose their memories. Everyone in the world loses their memories about this. And
This
ever
that,
since
that
then, the readers have been very upset about this.
could you have made that work?
Um, Maybe, but I think there was just so much buildup to this event, and then to undo that event, I think it's difficult. I mean, you've got multiple universes in Spider-Man. I would say go to a different universe and play
Yeah,
with it there. In my opinion,
yeah,
that would be my thought.
yeah. I think that's a good point. I mean, in some way, it's like, considering how long Spider-Man's been going, and like Batman and Superman and all these things. If you're thinking about how like outlandish some of the ideas have been to expand and then contract all those multiverses, and like, create new spin-offs, and like in this world Superman has like no laser eyes, but in this one he does, and like that's fun. But in any other genre, in any other um medium other than comic books and maybe also comic movies, they would have like jumped the shark so hard they would have called PETA. Like,
Yeah, there's a lot of I think there's a lot of relation between these comic books that go for 100 years and lit RPG on Royal Road.
totally. I mean, look at
Yeah,
like, people often say that like, all of these, like, we're obviously very inspired by like Japanese manga and like isekai, and like
yeah,
of course like
100%.
trashy Chinese translated web novel, machine translated web novels. Um, but those were all kind of either inspired by like oral traditions, in the case of the trashy, badly machine translated Chinese web novel, but also American comics, like the manga. Um, and so I think it's quite obvious that like there's like lots of like overlap, and that a lot of web serial writers shouldn't be looking at traditional fantasy for structural inspiration, but sitcoms.
Oh, sitcoms.
Um,
You think they should go with that route?
so yes, sitcoms, because not because of like the it always returns to status quo, but because they found a structure that you can keep going for many series. Um, and I also think like, yeah, the comic market is also something to look at. But the fun part about the comic market is that you can have like one issue, and that's like people are okay with one issue being like one chapter and it releasing once a month or
Yeah.
once a week. People are not okay with that on Royal Road. Like they're okay with it, obviously, but
You
yeah, it's a bit
can't
of a
jump in.
juggle.
So with comics, you can jump into an arc and you can know,
Yeah.
okay, Spider-Man's here. There might be some things like, oh, I don't know this character, but that doesn't really matter. You
Mm,
can jump in and be like, okay, I'm going to start the Superior Spider-Man series, and you can just
mm,
read those comics, and
mm,
you can be like, okay, that was a great series. I love Superior Spider-Man. That
mm,
was great. And you don't have to read on. You don't have to read before because you know the story of Spider-Man. You know who he
mm,
is. He might have a company now, but you're like, okay, he's got a company. You just roll with it,
mm,
kind
mm.
of thing.
Yeah, I thought it was a
Um,
teacher.
he does a lot. Peter Parker does a lot of things.
Yeah, yeah. Many lives. Yeah, like totally, you get it. Like do you see that happening in the future? Like, let's say, like I don't know, Shirt gets like really big, and
I
he's gonna
think
gets his own comic thing.
I think probably Zogarth is. Am I saying his name right?
Yeah,
Yeah, Primal Hunter author. I think he probably would be the one to look at because I think he has said that he's never going to stop writing
yeah,
Primal Hunter.
I know.
And
He what?
actually, Pirate Abba. We were talking about Pirate Abba earlier.
Yeah.
That is a story where you can have a chunk. You can just
Mm,
have Wistrom Academy. You can just read Wistrom
mm,
Academy straight, and it
mm.
would make sense. Everything works.
Yeah,
You can read the clown arc just
yeah,
alone, and it all makes sense. You can yeah, there you can read these arcs solo, and I think that is a bit like that in a lot of ways.
yeah, and
I
like
think Pirate Up was actually probably the closest. Now I think about it.
yeah, exactly right. I
Yeah,
was just about to say the same thing. It's because like what ABBA does is they stick with a certain amount of characters, like core characters, but also they expand. Like suddenly this is an entire book about, like totally not Africa. Like yeah, like it's very well done because it has all these like it has expansion built into it because none of these people are the hero,
yeah.
right? Um, and that's something also I think that like we're not necessarily like missing because it's really hard to pull off. But you remember like old World of Warcraft,
World of
where
Warcraft.
old World of Warcraft, where you were just
Yeah,
like a nobody hero, like thank you for being like beating up these bandits.
yeah,
Um, and now you're like always the chosen one.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I think there's a need or like a desire for people to follow in the shoes of an everyman who isn't like the chosen one the entire time. But
Um,
lit RPG is hard, I think.
with the rise of YA fantasy, the
Mm-hmm.
chosen one trope rose a lot. So like
Mm-hmm.
everybody like before the really big boom, before Harry Potter,
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of like everyone is just someone in this world. But
Mm-hmm.
after Harry Potter, a lot the chosen one trope kind of exploded. I mean, and you had it before, obviously too. You had things like Wheel of Time, but
Mm-hmm.
Frodo's not anyone. Frodo doesn't matter in
Mm-hmm.
the grand scheme. Who is Frodo? It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Who is Bilbo?
That's
Bilbo
the
doesn't
point of the book.
matter.
Yeah, yeah.
You look at even like if you look at like Sparrowhawk. Sparrowhawk was just some kid on a rock. Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
that's or Wizard of Earthsea. If you haven't read Wizard of
Mm-hmm.
Earthsea,
Mm-hmm.
it's not a big hero. It's not like he is powerful, but he wasn't. You didn't. Is just
He
someone.
didn't blow up planets. Yeah,
Yeah.
like
But with and then also you look at like something like a Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire. Like they're all
mm,
just people. They're all just random
yeah.
characters.
And
But
what?
with the rise of YA fantasy,
Yeah,
especially, and I like a lot. I like YA fantasy. I'm not trying
yeah.
to badmouth YA fantasy. I think there's a lot of good things in YA fantasy,
Mm-hmm.
but it definitely raised the popularity of the chosen one trope.
Mm. If you're thinking about like maybe that's also one of the things that people didn't like about the last season of Game of Thrones. That suddenly
Yes,
there was
because
this thing, right?
then suddenly there were chosen ones, and I guess technically in the books there are, but there aren't really because you know that it's all fooey. Everything's fooey. You don't know what's real. You don't know what's actually
Yeah,
what actually is legit.
exactly.
Yeah.
Um, and then kind of like having that veil ripped away and like, behold, everything is exactly how it seems. Like, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
That's not George R. R. Martin, because like George R. R. Martin will like completely torture you. Like yeah, Jon Snow is the chosen one, and he dies because he stepped on a rusty nail.
yeah. No, and then you'll have like
Yeah,
10 chapters of him in bed, getting like suffering from tetanus before they have
yeah,
to saw off his leg, and then he dies because of an infection on his leg.
yeah, exactly. Like, he's almost getting saved, and he dies anyway. And before he dies, he makes a command that is completely misunderstood, and sets up this cascade of other like really bad shit happening on
Yeah.
the other side of the world for characters that you also care about. So thanks, George R. R. Martin.
No, no. There's yeah. The end of book 5 is a bit of a cliffhanger still. With
Yeah,
Jon Snow. We don't
I'm just,
actually. I mean, I think it's been. I think Martin has said that like it happens, like he
mm,
revives, but obviously it's not going to be quite as simple because there's a bunch of the
mm,
warging stuff. So that like part of his
mm,
soul, when a warg dies, they
yeah,
go into their animal. They become one with
yeah,
their animal.
yeah,
So if you bring Jon Snow back to life, suddenly Ghost's soul is like all gonna like because they're all mixed together. Then
yeah,
and there's like ripping apart Ghost and
yeah.
Snow and putting them back into a body. It's gonna be a big mess
Gruesome.
if that happens. It's
Oh
gonna
yeah,
be a bit
totally.
more messy than I think the show went into.
Yeah, I didn't even
Sorry,
watch the
that's
show,
just me
man. Like
theorizing.
I
I used to read those books a lot. I
I
like
read the book, and I was like, okay, this is enough emotional damage. I'm not gonna
I,
watch the show. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I
Like,
haven't seen all of the show. I saw the last season of the show, and
mm,
and I've seen a couple of the first season episodes.
mm.
But
Like I've always had this thing where I loved reading this book. It was amazing, but afterward, I kind of feel like I really shouldn't be reading more of this. This is like emotionally harrowing. I'm a very um empathetic person, as in like I feel a lot of empathy with someone. Like
yeah,
I also can't watch like um embarrassing comedy, right? Because like
yeah, that's why you're not watching The
the
Office.
the Fremdschämen is so real. Like, oh my god, I can't. I
Yeah.
sit there with my pullover over my eyes, going like, oh no, no, no. My girlfriend at the time was like, you gotta watch the show. I'm like, I can't. You tell me what's going on. She's like,
Oh,
that's not how it
I
works.
see the Stormlight behind you. I'm just thinking,
Yeah.
and for my boon, and for
Mm,
my boon,
mm.
that scene. Oh, my
Which
heart.
one?
After the big battle, this the second book. They have the
Oh
the
yeah.
big tournament like battle. He jumps in, he does really cool shit, and
Mm,
afterwards he like ruins it all, and he's really cringe.
yeah. Yeah.
Paladin.
It's like,
I
oh
just
god, yeah.
I could die
Like
of cringe in that moment. Oh,
for real, for real. We have to keep
um,
up with the kids. No, yeah.
Can a team of has-been teen idols save the world? Find out in the new series Boy Bands and Dragons. When Neverboyland is sucked into a magical world, their reunion takes a back seat to staying alive. But if they can get over the past drama that drove them apart, they may find that even pop stars can be heroes. Come and discover your new favorite read. Our comeback tour is Slaying Monsters, the first in the Boy Bands and Dragons series by Kim Smuga Otto, dropping on Kindle Unlimited October 25th.
What's one thing that you learned while writing that you would do differently now? Or if you're starting a new series or are already doing differently in the next book?
um, what have I learned while writing? Just in general, what I've learned while writing. I mean, obviously, we've talked about this a bit in the Patreon part, but I
Mm,
think finishing your first book is just so
mm,
monumental. That's the most important thing you can do, really, as a
mm,
writer, is finish that first book.
mm,
It's not going to be pretty. It's it's going to be great though. Like,
mm,
it's going to be the best thing you ever do as a writer is writing that first book.
mm.
Um,
And now
I think,
imagine writing it 4 times.
yeah, how much? Yeah. And you mentioned earlier about editing too. I think editing is really important.
Mm,
I really enjoy foreshadow and setup. I do a lot of
mm,
foreshadowing and setup in my books.
mm,
Um, and that's something you can't always do right away. You have to go
mm,
back. You have to add some things in. And it's really, I think, I find it just it's, I think, the most satisfying thing for me is when I properly set things up. And you can see like the live reactions on Royal Road of people reacting to things. And you're like, oh, you got part of that right. You got part of that right. You're on the right track. And then when like you get to have the reveal, and you can just look in the comments and just see people like being like, "Oh my god, if you go back to this, you can see it happening here. Oh, if you look at this, oh, it's all connected." And I think that's just so fun as a writer. I think that is one of my favorite parts of being a writer, is having those big, properly set up moments with those reveals.
Yeah. Like the reveals are really nice. And for that, okay, so some people are able to plot this out beforehand and foreshadow it nicely and then, finish it. But I love those quotes. I'm going to keep quoting it forever. Neil Gaiman once famously said that editing is the process of finishing a book, then going back through it and making it look as though you knew what you were doing the entire time.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I agree with that. Yes.
Because so what is your process? Like, how do you do it?
So when I first started writing Blood Curse Academia, I was a bit fed up. I had written 4 books. My first book was just, silly fantasy high school. I wrote in high school and college. Second book was YA. It was really fun. I actually really like this book. It has a really fun place in my heart, but definitely not for my current audience. It's like YA, female protagonist, girl is looking for her dad in a fantasy apocalypse setting. And a lot of just kind of dark, weird stuff going on. Like,
hey,
it's very like Coraline-esque.
Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, Coraline-esque. Okay. Mm-hmm.
So then my third book was for my master's program. It was about an assassin in a world where 97% of the population is female. And so like males are a commodity, and it's just this eunuch, he's a eunuch, and he has to blend into different societies, and he's going through seeing how different civilizations responded to having so few men. And so you get to see like kind of different avenues of how it could be.
That's fun.
Yeah, but not something that Royal Road would be interested in.
Oh no. Like that will get you like canceled so hard on Royal Road.
Yeah, no. Cross-dressing assassin eunuch. I don't think that.
Yeah, if you never want to earn if you want to earn infinite mindless money, then yes, please go ahead. But it does sound like a cool thing. Yeah, cool.
So then my fourth book was my most ambitious, and it was terrible. It was the worst book I've ever written. It was about a colony on Venus. And I love Venus. I think Venus is far more interesting than Mars. Mars is just it's a rock.
There's so many meta commentaries I can make right now.
Oh yeah. I guess you could. Maybe you could. Yeah. But Venus is actually a lot more habitable than people think it is, and so I wrote all about this hypothetical habitation on Venus, which is possible with our current technology. We could create a habitation in the skies of Venus, because the density of the atmosphere is so light. You can make one that floats in the atmosphere at a temperature that is the same as as us here in the world, like Earth. So it's
cool.
More feasible than people think it is. So I wrote all about like this civilization, but it was terrible. The plot was nothing. It was garbage. It was so garbage. It was all me being excited about a setting and nothing for plot. I just came up blank. And,
don't I know about that? I have so many starts.
Story. But then I was querying the second book, the dystopian YA fantasy, and then I was also querying not as much, because it was only 40K. So I was doing a little bit to like some shorter presses and places for the assassin book, and I got so many rejections. I got so many rejections, and I was just like, I'm so fed up with this. I'm so tired of this. I was like, my friend had introduced me to Royal Road during 2020. He got me into Mother of Learning right as it ended. So I just binged that during COVID for like a week. I was like, oh my God, this story is like the best thing. I love this story.
Really good.
And And then I started reading Void Herald, and I started reading some of the others. And I was like, I could do this. And I was like, I'm just gonna start writing something for fun. I'm so tired of querying. I'm just gonna write something for fun. So I just started spewing out whatever ideas I had that were fun. Whatever ideas I thought that were just kind of spontaneously like, oh, that sounds really fun. But as I was saying earlier, that's not great for when you need to do setup. It needs a lot of editing. You have to go back and edit a lot when you're trying to set things up. But
Tell me about it. Yeah.
I wrote this all for fun. I didn't get that many followers. I had like 150 followers on Royal Road. And I was like, I took a break for a while, but then Write-a-thon was coming up. And so I was like, oh, I could do this. I got some free time. And so I started doing it. And I barely made the goal. I made it by 200 words for the midway point, like the 25K.
Nice. Yeah.
And so I got on the list though. And I was like, oh man, I'm gonna get so many new followers from this list. And it's like, it's like you get 2 followers from this list because it's it's randomized. And I was like put on page 8 or something.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you don't get put on page 1 on the first day, you're not gonna get any views from that. Yeah. But Kyrulix was going through every single story on a write-a-thon looking for any sort of hidden gems. And she saw my story, and it was tiny. It was 150 followers. But she's like, hey, do you want to publish? And then I was like, I have a lot of editing. I have to do a lot of editing. I was like, I looked into Timeless Wind. Obviously, if you have a publisher reach out to you, research the publisher. And I made sure to start reading a lot of those books. I've read every book Timeless Wind is now published. I made sure to do my due diligence. I reached out to authors who had been published by them. Because, just having a publisher reach out to you on Royal Road, that can be kind of scary. It can be like, you hear horror stories about, people taking advantage, especially when in our space with places like web novel being so prevalent. But yeah, no, Timeless Wind is very legit. Timeless Wind has some of the best, fictions that come out of Royal Road. Timeless Wind snatches up. And I was like, whoa, you're reaching out to me. Like, these are good books. Like, Kieran's awesome. Like, this is so cool. Like, and then so I signed on with them. And then in January, like a couple months later, they're like, okay, so we've been talking over if we want to get a good audiobook reader, we're going to relaunch your book. And then because you only have 200 followers. So if we relaunch, we can actually get you on Rising Stars. You just got unlucky the first time. And yeah, I guess so. Sure. But I did a lot of editing after that. And from that point on, so from book 2 on, it was a lot more of me structured. I had a lot more structure to my writing. But we did a lot of editing. I actually had the author of Virtuous Sons, Stryker. Do you know Stryker? Yeah. He was my editor for book 1.
Ooh, nice.
Which was awesome because he's amazing. And he was really mean. He was really, really mean.
Yeah. I struggle with mean editors. But yeah, okay.
I think I was very happy to have him as an editor because he was very blunt. He said what he didn't like. He said what he thought was stupid. And I was able to cut that out. I was able to turn book 1 into something that I'm really proud of now because of him. I'm really happy I had him as an editor for that first book. He did a great job. He's a great author too. If any of you haven't read Virtuous Sons, it's phenomenal. Great audiobook too.
Yeah, the one that exists. Yeah, I really wish that there was a way to have more funding for better for more audiobooks, especially for these smaller hits.
Sound booth theater's expensive.
Yes, they are, but not as much as you think. You don't pay them anything, but they're doing everything on royalty share, right? So they don't do advances, but also they pay their narrator as well. Right. So, they're not a SAG shop, but anyway, still they pay really well. Yeah.
So, but after Stryker cut a lot, he told me I was stupid a lot of times. He told me I was an idiot. And I was able to get that first book into shape, and I reposted it on Royal Road. I actually got on Rising Stars. I didn't get, top 10, but I got a decent following. I got about 1,000 followers from Rising Stars, which is fine. It's a, respectable amount.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Maybe I'm being a bit, maybe I'm just a bit biased.
It is respectable. Yeah.
They're bigger, they're smaller. But then I continued to post bi-weekly, and I gained about 2,000 followers. And then McAnimus, like, out of the kindness of his heart, mentioned me at one of the end of his chapters, and that boosted me up like another couple hundred followers. So before I stopped, I was like at 2,500, which is
Cool.
it's a decent amount. You can grow on Royal Road without Rising Stars, in my opinion. Like, it's just slow. You have to be willing to continuously post and go and go and go and go. It's not fun, but you do still grow.
There's a bit of a Matthews effect, right? So I've noticed one thing, that if you have more than 1,000 followers, the rate of people clicking on that following is higher.
Oh, really?
Because sorry?
I just said, oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, because like the idea is that you're going into the book with a different preconception. Same thing with the rating. If like it's just human nature. If you're going to like a place and everything is kind of, you've been told, hey, like this place doesn't have good food, and you go into the restaurant, you will be more likely to look at what's not good, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with books. If your book has like a 4.2 star rating, or like below 4.5, people are going to come in and they're going to like be on the lookout for things they don't like, and so they don't stick around. And I think that's one of the curses of the thing.
Yes.
But
I have something else I want to mention when I come back to it in a moment. But yes, after that, I had a pretty respectable following, and we were able to get Jack Veraces. Do you know Jack Veraces?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's my audiobook reader, which is really cool. He did such a phenomenal job. Really happy with his performance. And I think, and then I, wrote book 2 and book 3, and they're much stronger structured. They're from the get-go, so there's a lot less editing involved. But you were just saying, you just reminded me of something. You're talking about ratings. Something I learned while writing on Royal Road is that you should don't hurt your protagonist too much.
Oops.
Yeah. Royal Road readers don't like it if you hurt your protagonist too much. They will if they don't see an immediate so like Lyndon, spoilers for like book 2 of Cradle, like he gets his maybe I'll give a second. Something happens to his arm, and he has something else happen to his arm, but it's very quick. Like it's within like 3 chapters. And so, the people don't care. They don't care because it's so fast. Like, and then it's basically an upgrade. But if you wait for that upgrade, then because I like having setup and payoff. Royal Road readers don't like it when it has to do with something that they see as harming the protagonist's growth in any ways.
Yeah, you will see that many of these books that, like, if something bad happens to the protagonist, it's something good in disguise, right? I think that's like reasonable. It's not what you learn. I think that's a crux that both you and I share. It's not what you learn in traditional creative writing masters.
No, it's not. No,
like it's because like there the entire idea is like
he's having challenges. Yeah,
the challenges, like the growth and all kind of stuff. But lit RPG readers or progression fantasy readers in general, they're not in it for the struggle. They're in it for the success.
They like a different kind of struggle. They like it when you start off at the lowest point. You start off, you're just, you're a piece of shit. You're just a little turd. You're rolling around. But then you become like this, like, god piece of shit at the end.
Yeah.
Like they like it when you have, like they like it when you start really small and you continuously grow. They don't like having any dips. They hate regression. They hate anything like that. And on that, and my story honestly doesn't even have really like big regression themes. It doesn't have that. I'm not trying to shoot myself in the foot, but
big shout outs
it
here. Sorry,
what?
you finish?
Yeah, yeah. So they just they like steady progression. They don't. If you're writing on Railroad, I don't recommend having big dips of progression. Even I would say even mine isn't that bad because it doesn't actually affect the magic in any ways. So I don't think it was that bad. But even still, I got a bit of kickback, and from that I learned that I am going to maim my protagonist as early as possible. Right? That's the lesson.
Yeah,
we learned.
exactly. Like
do it faster.
Hell difficulty. The
No,
difficulty
don't do
tutorial.
don't do that. Don't do that. That
Yeah.
was a joke. Don't do that.
Hell difficulty tutorial maims the main character the entire time. You should read that. Like it's you should read a Bog standard isekai. And on April 1st, he posted a box standard isekai.
Yeah. Just on audiobook. It's on my list.
It's very, very good. But like the like joke chapter of like box standard isekai was that like it's a guy staying on boxes, that's his skill. And he the entire time Miles like writes in parentheses like for example, like the main character was very good looking, but no one really appreciated his looks. He's just like you.
Yeah, he's just
he
like
was so snarky in this chapter. Like, okay, Miles.
Yeah, I think he raises a fair point there.
Yeah. It was Miles was very, very snarky in this. It was really fun. Speaking of this, why don't you tell me about like one book that you love and why is it awesome?
One book I love. Picking one book. If I have to pick one book, it's probably Mother of Learning.
Yeah.
I mean, it got me published basically. If without Mother of Learning, I wouldn't be published. Well, not this way at least.
Without the Monoc Loop, you wouldn't be published either.
Yeah, it's true. Not a lot of things that would be published. But I think I owe a lot to Mother of Learning. My book is very, I mean, I have Jack Races as my narrator.
Yeah,
It's very academy fantasy fun. Mother of Learning inspired in some ways.
Cool.
So yeah, I'd have to say Mother of Learning. I'm sure I can't imagine anyone that's listening to your podcast has not read Mother of Learning. But if you haven't, it's a time loop. It's a fantasy book. It's got trains.
It's got training arcs.
It's got that too. Yeah.
It's pretty. Domagoj writes really, really well. Like I gotta say that. Like you read it, and his veracity. So how real his characters feel. Like these characters feel so real right from the start. Where other lit RPG authors often struggle to have like a character feel real, because they're all like something bad happens. Like, hey, how can I level up? Like. Somehow Domagoj manages to not do that, like do the complete opposite and still succeed with it. So.
And I think that goes back to what I was saying about desires. You can understand every single character's desire in that book. You know what every maybe some of the classmates a little bit less because they're just they're students. But you can think, oh, this character, Zorian's brother. Oh, you can see, okay, he wants this, he wants this. He wants this. Oh, you can be like, oh, Zorian's brother's fiance. Oh, she wants this. She wants this. She wants this. You can be like, oh, Zach. What does Zach want? You can see. You can look and you can see exactly what each of the characters want. You can see their desires, and I think that's so important.
Within like a couple of lines, right? Like right at the beginning, that like, hey, his little sister really just wants to hang out with him.
Yes,
he wants to be left alone.
Yeah.
Suddenly you have a clash.
I think his parents are actually extremely well written because you can understand exactly what they want, even if you don't agree with it.
Yeah, exactly. Like even Zorian is a bit of a dick, to be honest, right? Especially at the start. Like, he gets better, but yeah.
I don't think he's that bad at the beginning. I never thought.
I hated his guts.
You did? Really?
Yeah, because empathy is like one of my core values, and
he's an empath.
Not much at the beginning. At the beginning, he's so self-centered, like doesn't give a fuck about his sister or his parents. Like
Yeah.
just wants his own thing. He's so pubescent.
It's so funny because he isn't. His problem is that he's an empath, but he
Yeah.
has no empathy for anyone.
Yeah. Knowing Domagoj, that's by design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Really
yeah,
funny.
he becomes extremely just awesome. He's just Zorian's such a cool character by the end. And it's
Yeah.
a great progression of power too. He's not like, shaking the world, but he's so smart that you feel like he can move mountains if he needs to. He can figure out a way to do it.
Yeah.
He's not going to punch it like Goku, but he's going to, set up a system. He's going to make a plan. He's going to organize things. And I think that's more satisfying for me.
Yeah. It's very, very rationalist in that sense.
Yeah.
But without the, like all the like weird connotations that come with that.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about that recently with another book I was reading. I was thinking, man, this reminds me a lot of the Rationalist Reddit, but I'm not going to say what book that is because that would anger a lot of people for me to compare them to that book in any way.
But yeah, we should probably talk about shoutouts.
Shoutouts. I'm currently reading. Do you do a currently reading one, and do you do a shoutouts?
You can just shout out whoever you want. Usually, I like it when people shout out like smaller authors, but you can do whatever.
I'm currently reading Lost Souls and a Demoness.
Mm-hmm.
I met the author back in the fall. He came to Tokyo and he just like, hey, you want to meet up? And I was like, yeah, sure. I'll come down to Tokyo, hang out. I'm always willing to meet up with other authors that are in Tokyo. That's if any authors are watching this, if you come to Tokyo, hit me up. Let me know. I'll show you around Tokyo. And so I liked him a lot. And his book just came out, published by Mango Media, Lost Souls and Demoness. It's really good. I think it's not getting as much publicity as it deserves. It's good audio too. And I just finished Broker. Broker was phenomenal. Another book that I think needs more attention. Broker is really good. Have you read Broker?
I really wanted to sign Broker.
Oh, you wanted to sign Broker? Well,
yeah,
Timeless
really
Wind snatched Broker up.
No, actually, like they weren't interested in having an agent, which I completely appreciate. And I sent them on the way to like go to Timeless Wind. They'll probably they'll take good care of you.
Yes, I think Broker is phenomenal. If you like Perfect Run, then you'll like Broker. I think.
Yeah. Broker's I
think they're very similar in a lot of ways. Superpowers. Fun setting, villain and hero. There's a lot of similarities with Perfect Run, in my opinion. Yeah. The main character is not quite as Ryan.
Yeah. Like she's very like purpose driven and comes off like a little bit as like a little bit cold at times. But I still think like the premise really like the premise carries it a lot. And like later on also the other characters.
I think great opening scene too. Like you get to see the destruction and the chaos, and you get to I think that everyone kind of fantasizes a little bit about what if I could go back 10 years and relive everything. Like what would I do differently? I think everyone has that fantasy a little bit, but doing it with scope is so fun.
You know what the book reminded me of?
What does it remind you of?
Ruinous Return.
Okay, right? Yeah.
Because like the same thing of like small time hero, quote unquote, turn to villain, really is also there. Of course, completely different books, but it's pretty good.
So those are what I recommend right now. I think if you like Dungeon Crawler Carl, you like the dungeon aspect of that, then you should read Lost Souls and Demoness. I think that's really good. They said Mango Media published it. You probably know Mango Media.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
Mango Media is
it's Mango. Yeah,
that's Selfie's publisher.
I really wish it it came out like almost a month ago now. You should read it more. Yeah.
So if you like dungeon crawls, it's great. If you like, the main character is a gymnast and a succubus too, so it's really cool. It's a non-sexual succubus, like forced into the class, forced into the race. So it's kind of funny. Like it puts you in funny scenarios when you don't actually want this, race that's hypersexualized. um,
There's like yeah, it's a very fun stereotype to like not stereotype but like character to write. I feel.
there was actually, you might have heard about the drama of this book on Royal Road it was
No.
it was over a year ago. Um, that it almost got wiped from Royal Road because Royal Road had a secret rule with no
Mm.
succubus protagonists. Do
Ah,
you hear about this?
no. I
Um,
don't think that's a thing, but yeah, go
It
ahead.
is a thing. It almost got wiped from Royal Road because it was picking up traction, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Well, we don't want any succubuses because they're too sexual." And so the author uh, garnered enough support from other people to like get enough
Yeah.
backlash that the admins of Royal Road backed off. And there's
Oh.
okay, we'll meet you halfway. You just have to make it so that's not in the synopsis, or not say it's a
Yeah, like
not
it's
say it's a
not
succubus.
yeah, it's not in the synopsis like that. That's the rule of it.
Yeah,
But I've seen plenty of like succubus stories on Railroad. Like that being said, like it's not necessarily like the right place. I would say like there's some stuff in band, for example, where like yeah, one of the characters is a succubus, so like she plays the guitar. Like I
yeah,
have to like be careful about what I write because like Railroad is not very super like anti-sexual, but it's just not the right audience.
yeah.
And I feel as though like the mod team kind of um,
The mod team can
reinforced
be a
that
bit
to a degree.
much.
Hmm?
The mod team doesn't like backing down. They don't like they're very stubborn. The Royal Road mods, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
there was only one until recently, so
well, I think there are a couple now, yeah,
yeah, they are.
but they're very notorious for. I think that if you say anything, if you try to fight them on anything, they will double down on that and they will
Oh yeah,
refuse, even if you come up with the best argument in the world.
yeah. Yeah, don't fight. Like fighting is like they're mods. Like it's their website. It's their house.
Yeah. It's their
They can
website.
say
They can
whatever
do
they
whatever
want.
they want.
Yeah, like the
But I
the
can
the
also
thing.
disagree with it if I want as well. I can
Yeah,
disagree with their opinions as well.
yeah, absolutely. Like the thing you do is you don't fight. You
You
claim
get
what you want to achieve, and if that is like I want to write a sexy succubus, then it's not the right page. But if it's like again, like Lost Souls and Demons is not that. Just saying, you should
yeah.
totally read it. But if you were to write something like that, then yeah, I would also suggest like going to Wattpad. Like that's a way better place for it. Or like
Well, it's not
Ream
sexual
or
though, so
whatever.
I wouldn't know if that would be the right place for it. And it got a big following on Royal Road, so
Yeah, and like look, like Wattpad doesn't necessarily have to be sexual either. Like Scribble Hub doesn't have to be sexual either.
that's
Like
true.
it's
Yeah, you're right. You're
right.
right.
Like
Um, but it worked
try it
out.
out.
Everything turned out fine. I thought it was
Yeah.
a bit silly that they have these secret rules. I think you should be open with your policies of the website.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's fair.
Um, that's just my thought on the matter. I think
Yeah.
that you should have a big like terms and service, like big rule
Yeah.
sheet of hey, we
Yeah.
don't have this, we don't have this, we don't have this, we don't have this. Just be very
Yeah.
transparent.
I think like it says it in the TOS that like no overtly sexual plots or arcs are allowed.
Yeah.
But like if you're saying like look, it's just the entire point is that she's not a sexual succubus. That's the entire point. Then I think if you're presenting your argument calmly and nicely, I think you can get through with it.
Yeah, you can you
Hmm.
I think that John is a lot more receptive
Hmm.
if you are nice to him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Everyone is right.
Yeah, most people
Like if
are.
you're,
Now that you mention
I
it,
don't
I
know
think
if
that
you're,
most people are probably much nicer to you if you're nicer to them. That's probably very true. I think that
yeah.
if you put kindness out in the world, you'll probably
Hmm.
receive kindness in return. Most
I
likely.
just recently I put kindness out and I got a fucking bad response back. I was still angry about it, but yeah,
You're bitter.
no, not really bitter. I think in this case, it's really like I'm not gonna talk about it, but I think it's really warranted. Like it was like lots of
Sometimes
like
it
lots
work
of
out.
accusations that was part of like a negotiation tactic that I just didn't really appreciate.
Ooh,
So yeah, like like
that's
it's
a
part
bit
of the job as an agent, I
nasty.
guess. But yeah,
I mean, people can be nasty.
yeah,
There are some. royal road riders that I avoid because I think they are pretty nasty people. But
Yeah.
I think that just don't engage with those people. Just try to be nice. Is
Yeah,
the
exactly.
policy.
Like, actually, Drew like helped me through this a lot. He was like, "Yeah, look, like they can do their dance, they can do all the thing they do. Like, just you can't let it get to you. Like, yeah,
No,
sure, like
you can't
get
let
the,
them live rent free in your head.
yeah.
If
If you want,
even if you do think that some of the
yeah,
practices they've done are pretty scummy, you're like,
yeah, yeah.
I
If you
don't.
want something from them,
Yeah,
focus on that and get that done, and then
yeah.
just
Just
go
focus
your
on
separate
yourself.
ways.
Focus on being kind to others.
Yeah.
Um, and then, anyways, I was gonna say that, yeah. So it's great if you want dungeon crawl, uh,
Mm.
Lost Souls, Demoness, and then if you want superheroes, if you want a good superhero story, I think there is
Mhm.
no better story that's coming out right now than Broker. Broker is great for a superhero if you want a good superhero story.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
guess they're super supportive, but that's not like
I was about to
public.
say like, but yeah,
Yeah,
like it's
super
like
supportive.
that's not published yet.
Oh,
Um,
actually, I just read Superpowered. I just read the first
yeah,
book of
but
that,
Drew
and
Hayes.
that have you read that?
It's been on my TBR since 19.
Well, I really liked it. I mean, I obviously like
Mm.
academy settings
Yeah.
because I mean I'm an academy writer. That's one of the reasons I like Super Supportive so much too. Super Supportive is so
Not to
good.
be confused with an academic writer. But yeah, we should talk about exactly what makes academia so fun to you in the rest of the Bones material, because we are at the end of the show. All right. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I hope you had lots of fun. Um, you know the drill. You like, you subscribe, you can leave a comment, you go and buy the book. And yeah, and last words.
Um, keep reading, keep writing. Best thing you can do as a writer is read, and writing as a reader isn't bad either. So
Yeah.
just have fun. Just enjoy your life. Enjoy your day.
Mm,
Have a good day.
please do. And keep reading and writing. That's a very good point. All right. Thank you everyone for listening and or watching. And I'll see you next time. And if you're on Patreon, the show goes on.